Hi guys, welcome back to the Home and Homestead. If you're new, I'm Rebecca. Today we're going to be doing some food preservation. We'll be freeze drying some zucchini. This is a great way to preserve your zucchini so it lasts a long time on the shelf. And then you can use it throughout the year. You can use it in soups to add some nice fresh flavor, or maybe to help thicken it. You can sprinkle it over top of a salad, almost like a little vegetable crouton type of topping. You can also grind it down and make it into a zucchini flour, and that can be substituted into recipes for a portion of your flour ingredient. So this is a really versatile way to preserve your zucchini. So follow along and I'll show you how I like to do that. So we'll head to the kitchen and we can start to prepare our zucchini to be freeze-dried. So here I have a nice big bowl of zucchini. Some of these are from my garden and some of them are from some family members' gardens as well, because they had a number come in already and I knew that I wanted to do some projects to share with you guys. So what I like to do with the zucchini before freeze drying is I like to wash them real nice, get them nice and clean, and then I take off the ends. I like to leave the skin on. It gives some nice nutrition for your freeze-dried zucchini, but I do like to go in and remove the seeds. It gives a better result and better texture in my opinion, but if you prefer to leave the seeds in, you could certainly do that. So what I'm going to do is get these zucchini cleaned and we can move on with preparing them for going into the freeze dryer. Alright, so I have the zucchini all nice and cleaned up, and what we're going to do is just remove the ends. And then we'll cut them in half. Then I like to take a spoon and just scoop out the seeds from the middle. This is more important to do in my opinion when the zucchinis are really big. I have some examples. You know those zucchinis that are just kind of getting there and then you go a day or two and then you come out and they're these huge monsters of zucchinis. I find those seeds to be a bit larger and I really don't like the texture of them in my freeze-dried zucchini. So I like to just cut and remove the seeds from all the zucchini when I'm preparing this method. And it's almost as if we're preparing like a zucchini boat. So if you are interested in cooking up a meal using some fresh zucchini, you can check out my video on how I make zucchini boats, and we do the same process there where we remove the inner seeds and add some yummy fillings to create a delicious little meal using your zucchini from the garden or the farmer's market or wherever you happen to get your zucchini. So I'm going to continue to prepare the zucchini here. And then once I finish with this bowl, we can move on to the next step, which will be shredding our fresh zucchini. Now that our zucchini have been cut and the seeds have been removed, then I went ahead and sliced them so that they could be the proper size to go into the food processor attachment I'll be using to grate my zucchini. So if you're planning to use a hand grater, you could just leave them as they were, cut in half. If you have a different food processor, just cut your zucchini to the size that will fit into your chute. This size is kind of nice if you happen to have extra, then this works really well for grilling. So I'm going to be using my KitchenAid stand mixer with the slice, dice, and shred attachment. So I put the attachment all together, and we're just going to use the mixer on a medium setting. This little gauge here is just for when you use the slicing function of this attachment, so we don't need to worry about using that dial today. So let's grab a few pieces of zucchini, and we'll turn our mixer on a medium setting. Start to feed through. As you can see here, we have a nice shredded zucchini result. So I'm just going to continue to process these zucchini and get them nice and shredded so we can load up our freeze dryer trays. So now we have a nice big bowl of shredded zucchini, and that just took a few minutes to prepare. Now what we're going to do is put some of this zucchini onto each of our freeze dryer trays. I have the Medium Pro Harvest Right freeze dryer, so I have 5 trays. I usually do about 3 to 4 handfuls per tray. You want to fill the tray but not have it overflowing too much. I like to have a little bit of room poking through here and there with my shredded zucchini. If you have a little too much, just simply put it onto another tray. All right, so here we have all 5 of our freeze dryer trays filled, and I used up our bowl of the shredded zucchini. So now what I like to do is I like to put my trays into the freezer, and I just pre-freeze my shredded zucchini before putting into the freeze dryer. This is an optional step. You could certainly from here move on to your freeze dryer, but this just takes a little bit of the task away from the freeze dryer, and we can hit the ground running when we start the freeze drying process. So I will put these trays of shredded zucchini into the freezer to pre-freeze. You could do this for a few hours to overnight. So now the next step, when we come back, I will show you the settings for freeze drying our shredded zucchini. All right, so here I have my Medium Pro Harvest Right freeze dryer with the pump off to the right. I also have the Wi-Fi fob, which works nice for using remotely with the app. So if you're using the app, you would just follow the steps within that and program in the settings. So we're going to put custom on the actual freeze dryer so we can put in our settings here. So for initial freeze, it is -10 degrees Fahrenheit. I like to do an extra freeze time of 2 hours. Dry temperature will keep at 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and the drying mode is normal. And then we'll press start. Now the freeze dryer is going into a preparation mode, and this will take about 15 minutes. That's enough time to go grab the frozen shredded zucchini trays and bring them down so we can get them loaded into the freeze dryer. Now the freeze dryer has completed that 15-minute cycle, so we can do 3 things. 1, we can load the trays into the freeze dryer. 2, we'll close that drain valve, and 3, we'll hit continue. So first, let's get these trays of shredded zucchini into the freeze dryer. Now we'll close the drain valve. So currently it's open, so it is parallel to the drain. In order to close it, we'll make it perpendicular. Now that drain valve is closed. So we can hit continue. And now the freeze dryer will freeze dry our shredded zucchini. So we'll come back once that process is all complete. All right, so our shredded zucchini has been freeze drying for about 20 hours now, and it's into my extra dry time that I programmed in. But what I want to do is check it, see if we need to continue this full extra dry time that I added to the cycle. So what I like to do is arrow down, and then it'll tell us that the process is complete. You can open the drain valve to vent. That way you can open the door. And then if we need to add more dry time, then we would just hit the middle button that says more dry time. So what I'm going to do is open that drain valve vent, so I'll turn it parallel to the drain. And now we can open the door and I can check out our shredded zucchini and see if it's nice and dry. Oh yeah, that feels nice. Nice and crunchy, dry. Yeah, that feels good. Now we have a few other options that we can select. So we can do no defrost and it will just shut off, and then I can leave the door open and it will just naturally defrost and drain away the ice that's in the chamber. Or you can hit defrost and then it will go through its own heating cycle to drain away that ice, and then it's all taken care of. So what I'm going to do is hit defrost. So now it'll tell me to keep that drain valve open. I can remove my freeze-dried item, and then I can hit continue and it'll go into a defrost time. And then it has a default frost time of 2 hours, which you can change as well, hitting the arrows up and down as necessary. So let's get our freeze-dried shredded zucchini out of the machine. You can have a closer look. All right, so here we have our 5 trays of shredded zucchini, all nice and freeze-dried. So now this will be shelf stable. I can store this in an airtight container or Mylar bag, and this will keep for a long time. This is very versatile, and it's a fun way to use some of your zucchini harvest. I like to store my shredded freeze-dried zucchini in a clamp top glass jar like this, and then I put a little oxygen absorber packet inside of there as well, and it seems to stay nice and fresh for me, and I can use this as needed throughout the year. So let me put this into the jar, and we can go over a few of the things that this freeze-dried shredded zucchini is good for. All right, here we have our freeze-dried shredded zucchini, and it fit really nicely inside of this glass clamp top jar, and I have a little oxygen absorber packet in there. And now this can be opened and used throughout the year. And what I like to use it for is, I like to add maybe a handful of it or two in soup, and adds this nice freshness to it. And it also works as a thickener for soups and other recipes. You can sprinkle it over the top of a salad, and it's like a fresh veggie crunch on top, more like a crouton type of a thing. And that's quite lovely. And you can use it for baking. Just add a little bit to add some nutrition and sneak in some veggies for some favorite baked goods. You can also grind it down to make zucchini flour. Then you can substitute a portion of zucchini flour for other types of flour for making various baked goods. And you also can just simply reconstitute it and add water, and then you can use it as you would shredded zucchini. So this is a very versatile vegetable to prepare and freeze dry and keep on your pantry shelf. So if you have zucchini either in your own garden or is given to you, or perhaps you purchased at a farmer's market or locally, and you enjoy freeze drying, I hope that you give this process and preparation for zucchini being freeze dried a try. So if you're new to the freeze drying process and would like more information on freeze drying, I do have links in the description box below where you can find out more information on this food preservation process. And I have a number of different videos on items that you can freeze dry, from treats and snacks and pantry staples, so be sure to check those out as well. Now, if you're new to the channel or haven't done so yet, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. So please be sure to hit that subscribe button below and continue to watch my channel, The Home and Homestead, for some more homemade, homegrown, and home-style inspiration. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while we did this freeze drying project, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. See you next time. Take care.